and we're going to take you through the highlights here. Here's Mike.
Yeah, and again, a lot of it's going to surround around some of Lafayette's miscues here, but a good drive to open the series here for a touchdown right there as Nunez-Perez kicks the extra point. Ethan Clark will take it 7-0. Lafayette did answer, and a good strong game here by Ethan Weber. I mean, he did a nice job filling in for No Kente Edwards today as he's dealing with some family issues. And then you saw the touchdown here by Murphy. Again, one of the better running backs in the Ivy League. That's going to be a 14-7 lead. And then Lafayette, again, some poor defense there. Darson Gentry's got to make that play. He knows that. Ball gets outside him. And you see right there, Hippa get in for the 4-yard rush. At 21-7, this was the play that really kind of turned the tide here. The miscommunication with Dean and Eli there as Lafayette will answer after the pick six, made it 28-7. Lafayette before half. Great job, 28-14. And again, we see here in the second half, again, a field goal stretched that lead to 31-14. Lafayette did get their offense moving, and a good job by Lafayette as we send it down to Coach.
Here's Megan.
Coach, you told your team right here, one game doesn't define the season. What did you learn about your team today?
Well, I mean, we didn't stop fighting, but, you can't have more turnovers than the other team and expect to win. We got to a point where it was 31-21, and, we ended up turning it over, and with a chance to, got a good punt return by Mason, and unfortunately we didn't put it in the end zone. So, I think there's a lot to learn, from a loss like this, and, we got to get ready for the rest of the league, which is all starts next week.
You mentioned it right there, the rest of the league. When we were talking pregame, you told me with the youth on your team, you weren't really sure what your season was going to kind of pan out to be.
Yeah.
When you look at this, 3-2 going into league play, what do you make of that?
Well, I think there's still a lot of football ahead of us. We got, 7 more weeks, I guess, and, we just got to continually get better at what we're doing. And if we do, we're going to be all right. I told the guys you got to stick together, get ready to fight next week.
Thanks, Coach.
Anytime. Thank you.
John?
We're going to pick it up here in the booth. And,
thank you, Gary. Thank you, Megan, for that report. Tough loss today for the Lafayette Leopards. We're going to send it back up to Gary and Michael so they can finish up the highlights. Gary, Mike?
All right, thank you very much, John. A note to make here, that was Coach Cerace's 100th win as a head football coach. Not all of them at Princeton, 82 of them at Princeton. And Mike, more highlights.
Yeah, that was a 4th and 4, and good job by Dean picking it up. And, well, I tell you what, Elijah Stewart shows you why he's the best in the league, in the Patriot League. He had a bunch of catches, got more involved today along with Mason Keener. A good, strong run there by Jakiri Henley. He'll cut that lead, as John Troxel alluded to, 31-21. Lafayette with a fantastic job here defensively as you see busting through their Beckham D. They're going to cause the punt they needed, and they got the punt they needed with a beautiful job by Mason Keener. I think he's the best punt returner in the league. He fields it on a bounce. He gets it back into territory. And then we're going to show you, obviously, the play that kind of changed it at the end of the half. This is not the play that lost the game for Lafayette because, Hosak's a terrific tight end, one of the better ones in the league, but a great hit there by Roberts. He had the pick six, he had the caused fumble, and that's going to be picked up. And a couple plays later, you're going to see a beautiful route right there by Green into the end zone. He'll beat the Lafayette defender. And again, it ends up 38-28. So a lot to get better at for Lafayette. But again, it wasn't a Patriot League game. That Patriot League starts again next week against Fordham.
And we'll be here for that one. That's a 12:30 start next Saturday afternoon. Join Mike, myself. Thanks to John Bowman in the booth for all of his help for today's broadcast. We send it down to John, to Phil, and to Megan.
Thanks so much, Gary. Well, guys, when you look at the performance with Lafayette today, there's a lot of lessons, honestly, that you can really take away. Talk to Coach Trox postgame about the turnovers. And right. Phil, I'm curious with your take with turnovers. How much of it is physical versus how much is mental? And then how do you get over that hump?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of both that you saw today. For Dean, I think he's got to know when he's under pressure not to throw try to be throwing a 35-yard out pass, maybe just dump it. And maybe that's what he was trying to do. Maybe he thought he was trying to, throw it out of bounds. Also, when you're engaged with a defender, you got to know to cover that ball up. I know you can't see something coming, but you got to know to cover that ball up because you never know that there's someone behind you or to the side of you.
John, Coach was really pleased with his team's fight and their ability to just stay in it through the very end. When you are a coach and you assess your team and you see that, how positive is that for you?
That's everything.
Yeah.
You can't coach anything until your kids play hard. That's all the X's and O's. There's an old saying that culture trumps talent every day of the week,
Yep.
and I think that's one thing these coaches have done. They've created a culture here, and you know what, Megan? When we arrived, we talked about this a little bit at halftime. There was a pall over this place.
Yes.
We talked about Kente Edwards. John Troxell talked about how together this team is. You can't tell me that John Troxell down with the virus in the hospital with IV, and then the news about their teammate, their leader, Kente Edwards. You can't tell me that didn't affect this team. They were down. There was a pall over this team in the first half. Mm-hmm. They came out in the second half and they reached down, they dug down, and they gave it their best against a very good Princeton team.
Well, let me add to that. I think we've seen, they've all said that they play for each other, right? They play for each other, and I think we can see that in their play.
Coach Trox has said at length on multiple occasions just how proud he is of this squad because they are unselfish, because they just have that factor about them. But as we turn the page, Coach Trox even said it to his team post-game when he addressed them. He said, one game doesn't define our season. Next week starts the thick of Patriot League play for this Lafayette team. When you are looking at what Lafayette can do as they really enter the thick of Patriot League play, what excites you about it?
Oh, wait, a lot, right? I mean, we were without Kente obviously today, so no big plays. Ethan Weber did a great job filling in for him, had some nice runs, couple touchdowns. And a lot of excitement going into league play, knowing that the league is a little bit down in terms of a couple of the teams, not great records coming into this, but you've got a Lehigh at 5-0 as well.
Yeah, listen, and Phil knows this better than anybody. When Patriot League is on the horizon, it's a new season. We as fans, as pundits, can afford to say this. If you had said before the season that we'd be 3-2 at this point, I think we probably would have taken it.
Yeah.
We see the team, we see the defense, we see the positives, and we always want more. Listen, we're 3-2. The glass is half full. I think John's got this team right where he wants them. Hopefully we get Kente back in better spirits. Our thoughts and prayers goes out to his family for sure. And I'll tell you what, if Coach Troxell needs an IV, there's no better IV than a fast start to the Patriot League season.
And nothing better than being home for quite some time, right? Home next weekend and the following. Next weekend's game against Fordham is at 12:30 p.m. time Eastern. You can catch us and the whole entire gang here from Phil Ang, John Leone, myself, Megan Caffrey. We can't wait to see you next Saturday.